And you want to get behind him now?
Yeah.
You don't.
I never remember. You know, I have 3 degrees, and I never remember what that stupid thing that I have
Yeah, you
to
could
say.
look at this.
Oh,
if you
that's very good.
and just get behind him.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Make sure you look good. Get a little closer this way.
Yes, I haven't done yet. I was just trying to get my blouse in order.
I'll shoot you a little tighter so you don't have to.
Okay, how's that now?
Beautiful, beautiful.
Today's date is December 8th, 1995. I am interviewing Mr. Martin Wegh, a survivor. My name is Anita White. We are in Flushing, New York. The language of the interview is English. Mr. Wegh, what is your name, please?
My name is Martin Wegh, W-E-G-H.
What was your name at birth?
Same thing, Martin Wegh.
Do you have any other names, Hebrew names?
Meir,
What is your birth date?
November 15, 1928.
Where were you born?
It's in Czechoslovakia. Košice is the town.
Would you spell it, please?
K-O-S-I-C-E.
Okay. What is the name of your father
Herman Wegh,
and your mother?
Hanna Wegh.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I had 2 more brothers,
What were their names?
Yankel and Shmil.
What was your father's occupation?
My father's was occupation, it's very interesting. They didn't have, like here, steam or thing like this. In the summer, you bought wood, and my father had a machine in the wood packer or something. He went there and he cut it for you with a machine, and he had 5 people working who cut it and put it in your basement for the winter, you know.
And was that sufficient to make a livelihood for the family?
That looks like we survived.
Describe your family life, your religious orientation, and your family.
Well, my parents were very religious, and I went to religious school. And it's very interesting that I used to use 4 languages every day.
Which ones?
Yiddish in cheder, Czechoslovakian in school, German in the house, and Hungarian between the friends. Every day, 4 languages.
Which school did you go to?
I went to, in 1938, I went in a Czechoslovakian school in the morning. In the afternoon, we went to Hebrew school. It's like a school.
Did you observe kashrut and the holidays at home?
Very religious. We had dishes, milchig, fleischig, and for Pesach too.
Did you used to go with your parents to the synagogue?
Oh yeah, if I missed the synagogue, I used to get spanked.
Describe to us your childhood, the feelings in school, your friends in school, your life in Košice
Well,
when you were young.
I lived in a Jewish neighborhood, and we get together, we played, I was involved with Jewish, except in the morning when I went in school, in non-Jewish school, I had to wait to go to lesson. The reason they used to call me every day, you bastard Jew, you know, and really I feel bad. So I had to wait till everybody went to school and I come the last one, so I wouldn't have the abuse that I used to get every day.
Were you the only Jewish child in
Oh
that
no, a
public
few of
school?
them, a bunch of them. It was a time that we had the Jews had their own school, but then it was disbanded, and I had to go in non-Jewish school, you know. So then it started the problem.
Did your parents and other Jews in town experience anti-Semitism from the people in Košice before the war?
I only appeared to me that between the children, from the elderly people, I never heard really anti-Semitism, just from the kids.
Did you Did you belong to any organizations at the time?
No, no
You were
organization. I
much-
was a young kid,
much-
so we lived in a real closed-in society.
Do you remember anything about that Jewish society in Košice? You say you were young, but do you remember anything, perhaps what your father or mother did or belonged to?
Well, mainly they lived to go in shul, come back and be with the same people all the time. And we lived with next to us was the cousin too, and they had 3 brothers, you know. And we always was together. Went to cheder, shul.
Well, but when you had family, so much family around you, how did you enjoy your life? How did the Jewish families, since you were so much together, what did you do?
We used to get together and play sport, football. That was really, I even later years, I used it, my soccer, I was very good in football. And I used it in the later year too, in Germany, example, in Israel, I played professional soccer. So it came good in the later year, you know. But that was the main thing. We were young and we had, it's a small town, but it was 25,000 Jews.
How large was the town, Košice, do you remember?
That's the second largest city in Slovak part. I wouldn't say it's about 100,000 people or something like this. And,
So there were a lot of Jews there.
oh yeah. We had a nice community. We had shul, school, with our own factory to make matzahs. And it was in a compound, you know. And big synagogue.
You remember the name of the
Yeah,
synagogue?
the Neue Shul I used to go pray.
Do you remember the name of the rabbiner?
I think it was Brach, Rabbi Brach. They even have a family here in Main Street, I think, kosher, butcher, you know. I think they're related.
Do you remember anything about the outbreak of the war in 1939? What do you remember?
It's very interesting. When the war started, my town is a main city, highway and railroad to Russia. And the Hungarian didn't want to go in war. Well, in 1930 they were occupied, so 39 was Hungary. They dropped a bomb, the German, on a big post office, with a very nice new post office. So and the Germans said to the Hungarian that the Russian did it. So the Hungarian went with Germany a war against Russia, you know.
That is, they deliberately did
They
that.
deliberately did it. And I remember the German soldiers in my town,
What year was that?
before they went to Russia, I really don't know, it must be before or something. I remember, as a kid, I used to walk after them. The reason they were walking, all of them were 6 foot tall, they were boots. And when they bent their feet, they were even. So, you know, as a young boy, you know, soldiers, I used to walk after miles. I even went to look at, they were in a big stadium prepared to go against Russia. And, but then later on was very bad.
Describe. What was bad?
First of all, the German took away the food. Like example, everything was rationed, bread, sugar, everything. And we had to stay in line all night to go in the morning to get a spot, you know, to go in the store. So how many times I stayed all night for bread, and I came to the store and no more bread. So I stayed all night for nothing. The reason the German soldiers came, they pulled out the bread, the sugar, the everything, you know. And
But who was actually running the town then? Was it the Germans or the Hungarians?
the Hungarians were running, but the Germans did what they wanted to do.
And what year are we speaking of now, 39 or 40?
It must be like this, 39, 40, yeah.
Was the situation for the Jews in Košice then, the 25,000 you're speaking of about, was it already beginning to be different than for the others in the city?
A little bit.
In
They
what way?
start taking away the business permit. They only left permit to people privileges like their parents or their father died in World War I.
Yeah.
So they left some privileges.
Well, did you know anybody like that?
Sure, I had a cousin's husband,
What was
Yeah.
their name?
Galan. He was Yakov Galan, and the wife was Malvin Galan. She was my cousin. The 2 mothers were sisters. And they had privileges. The reason the father died in World War I, so he could have the store, in business, usually they allowed only a few percent to go in college. They are really limited you.
Did they permit, so does it mean that all the Jewish businesses were taken away?
They were limited, but they still were surviving.
Was there rationing of food?
Oh yeah,
In
everything
what
was
way?
rationed.
Did you get coupons?
Coupons, and you had to stay in line and get your ration. You know, I don't know. Sugar was a little bit, and bread mainly. You know.
Were you able to get food from the outside farms, or how did you
Oh yeah,
survive then?
you can. Potatoes was available on the flea market. A market was available, and you can buy potatoes and fruit and vegetables. You know. But the
Well-
main thing, bread. You know, butter. You know.
How were you paying for those victuals? I mean, what were you paying with?
With Hungarian money.
Was money.
Money. Yeah.
Did the peasants accept the money on the flea market?
Oh yeah, that's what the main business. That was the main income. You know, the farmers. They used to come in, and they have budkas. You know, each and every one. I mean, selling, and you bought where it was cheaper. You know.
Was there a black market developed at that time?
That I
In
don't
the
know.
town?
That
You
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I don't know about this one. You know that this. I was so
You're
young
very
yet.
young.
I was.
Now, so describe your life now from those years, 39, 40, 41. What does your father do then?
Well, we had a friend who was not Jewish, who had the same business, and he helped us to do the same thing what he did, but it belonged to him.
I see.
So when we went away in 1944 to Auschwitz, my father gave him the machine. That was the advantage. But I remember the same man said to my father, Mr. Wegh, don't go in the ghetto. Don't go in the ghetto. They have railroads and they will take you to Auschwitz, so you're going to be destroyed. I lived about 8 or 10 miles out of this town. Nobody knows me, and you could survive there. But my father wouldn't listen. He went with.
I wanted to finish what you wanted
Yeah.
to say. Where did
No,
you
they didn't believe, you know, that they're going to kill that German. What they're doing. We had no idea, but some people knew it.
You sort of already speaking of the ghetto. Tell me, when was the ghetto established in Košice?
It was in beginning, I think, 44, established, where the Jews lived in ghetto. They only had to do, what we call this, a ring around it.
And what
And
did they do?
anybody who lived in the ring, that was the ghetto. Anybody who lived out of the ring, some Jewish people owned the factory to make bricks. So they made it in that factory, brick factory. The people who lived outside the perimeter, and they had to figure out how to do it. They had railroad tracks, so to come easy with the trains, you know, and pick them up and go.
Did they enclose the ghetto in Košice?
The ghetto was enclosed
How?
with a wooden fence.
Were there any guards and gates?
Well, actually, it was closed in, and was main gate was, but this, you know, they had to only close from street to street, so it was very easy was for them
Were
to
the
control.
Jews allowed to get out of the ghetto during the day?
No,
They had
once
to
you're locked in, that's it.
What did they do any work there in the ghetto?
Nothing. They waited till they transferred them to where they are, to Auschwitz.
Well, did the Jews in the ghetto did anybody try to escape, to get some false papers, to move out? You're
Probably
talking about so
young
many
people, but it was. But I don't know too much. I know one thing, that my relative, they had the shoe store. He saw what's coming to it, so they went to Budapest to hiding
Was the entire family?
with the entire family.
Which cousin, which uncle was that?
That's Mr. Gallan and Malvin is her name, and they survived. But he got plenty of problems in Budapest too. He was caught from the Gestapo, and they beat him up, and they released him later on. But he survived,
All of them,
all of them.
the entire family.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, your family lives in the ghetto. Did you live in the ghetto?
I didn't live in the ghetto. The reason I was a young boy, and I had the star. I removed the star and walking all day in the city, all over around. In the evening, I went to sleep to my cousin. But sometime I went into my parents' visit, and I didn't have to go even to Auschwitz, but my parents cried. They says, listen, we have to go together. So when it came time they were taking the transport to Auschwitz, I went in the transport.
I want to ask you something. You mentioned a star. When did the Jews have to start wearing a star? When was that? Did the Germans pass the law?
The law, yeah.
Describe that to us. What did they have to do?
Suddenly it came out a certain day that every Jew has to have a star. And
What
all
color?
Jews who converted to non-Jews, many generations, had to have a white star.
And the Jews had what color?
Yellow,
And the converters had
white, the silverish
star.
color, yeah.
Were they also locked in the ghetto?
Everything, the same thing, even worse, that they converted, you know.
Now, when you took off the star, were you actually going against the law?
Against the law, I took chances, and I was afraid too, people know me. If I walked in the street where I used to live and all my friends, I went in school, I would be in trouble.
But nobody gave you?
Nobody gave me in. Nobody, but I had a uniform like a soldier.
Whose uniform?
No, you
Which
know what
army?
it is? In Israel, not in Israel, in Czechoslovakia, in Hungary, at 12 years old they teach you to be like a military, and I had to go too.
Yeah.
So we get an uniform like a head, like a soldier's head. That was actually the whole uniform. I used it.
And you walked around with it?
Yeah.
Well, were you working outside when you were without the star? Were you doing anything?
Nothing.
You just
I
were
just
out.
surviving,
Yeah.
see what will happen. Actually, my cousin Malmi wanted to take me to Budapest too, but my parents were against it.
They wanted
I
you to
question you
get...
want to go there, you know that is there.
Did anybody in town know already about the deportations and where you were going to be deported? Did anybody know anything about it?
Only a few people. See, it is available. It was in Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Jewish people from Poland who in World War I stayed. They were soldiers and stayed in Czechoslovakia. They knew right away that Auschwitz and things like this, they heard about it. But we really didn't know. I didn't know that was happening. No idea. I'm sure wouldn't have gone if I would have known what happened.
So then the entire town just went on the transports without
That's
knowing
it.
what
They
it
just
was?
went like
When did they begin the transportation, the deportations?
in 1944.
You remember the months? You remember the month?
Yeah.
When?
It must have been, they started in April already, but it took time and time to, you know, they could not in once take all. So it was going in certain parts. I think I went in beginning of May to Auschwitz.
Do you remember which number transport it was? Was it
No
in the
idea.
beginning?
No idea. No, not beginning. Well, they were coming from the other parts of Hungary. You must go through my town to Auschwitz too. It's a main railroad station. They stopped there and they took some more people on, and they used to give you water and food for the people, and they went further.
And when you saw that, you didn't feel that you and your family should run away or hide or do something?
I had nothing to say. I was so young that I had nothing to say.
So you were taken with your family, the entire family?
Family to Auschwitz.
Please describe your trip to Auschwitz. Do you remember?
Well, I was with my father, 2 brothers, an Aunt Yolan, and my grandmother
Maternal or paternal? Grandmother.
from my mother's side. And we arrived, and they put us like cattle, really pushed in a hole, a wooden hole, that if you had to go to the toilet. And I remember one thing, I arrived Thursday night to Auschwitz. That I remember, in the crematorium burning, you know, you can smell the meat and everything. And right over there, my grandmother, they threw it, she couldn't probably walk already. They threw it like a piece of garbage from the,
Out
from
of
the
the
train.
cattle train?
The cattle train.
Was there a selection when you were thrown out at the?
It was a selection, all the people, and left or right.
Do you know who was there?
It was an officer. I have no idea who
German-
it was. A German
German.
officer. And
Were there any prisoners from camp there too?
yeah, they were helping you to unload, and I think they were collaborators with the Germans. They didn't give you the right information.
They did not.
No.
Did you
And
have any luggage with you in that car?
we had luggage, but you couldn't take nothing. And we arrived in a line, and the German left, right. And I don't know, I was so lucky that it came to me, and he asked me how old I am, and I says 20. And I stepped on my tip-toe to be tall, and he was maybe a few minutes. He did have no idea to decide to live or die. And I was lucky they sent me to live with my father.
What
But after
happened?
4 days, I was in Auschwitz. They separated me from my father. They
What
did it
happened?
special. The special did it. It looks like they knew it. I wanted to be my father, but they separated me. So after 4 days, a group of 200 children was sent to Krakow, Plaszów.
What happened to your grandmother, to your mother and your brothers?
Oh, that's it. They were sent
To the other side?
to the other side, and that's it. I don't know how long it takes to. They got rid of them, 1, 2, 3.
And now you went on a transport with children
Yeah,
to Krakow.
To Krakow,
How
Plaszów.
many more or less children, do you know?
About 200 children.
How did you travel to Krakow?
With a train, with a railroad.
Was that the same type of train,
Yeah,
cattle train?
Yeah, cattle railroad, and we arrived in Krakow, in Plaszów, and there was a concentration camp there too.
So what happened to you there?
Well, they made group of 50s, and they taught us one day how to lay bricks. And they looks like brought some girls through from Auschwitz, and they were a group of 50 girls, and they were helping us to bring the bricks and the cement.
Was that in the camp proper?
It
Or
was
outside?
it's in the camp, but a lower level. And there I heard about the factories, you know, I never heard Schindler's, but I heard people working in the factory there, but I had no idea what it is, you know.
What were you building with those bricks?
Some kind of, we call this, storage places. I have no idea for what. For meat, or who knows what it was.
Describe a day for you as a child in Plaszów in the camp.
Well, in the morning we went out to work, and we had a foreman. And he was a concentration camp too, a Polish. And he used to curse us out too. He was such an anti-Semite. He used to, po polsku used to say, kurwa wasza żydowska inteligencja. He so abused us. He was a miserable guy. And he was in concentration camp too. So we worked all day, and then they stopped. They gave us something to eat. I don't even remember. But Germans were killing people on top of the hill. Example, they went to a football game, and not just non-Jews, even Polish. They picked up everybody from the football train, and they brought them up, and they were shooting them. And we saw it. And we worked for a few months, and then it looked like the Russians were coming close. So they get rid of us, and they took us to Gross-Rosen.
Did you have any appels in the morning when you got up, or at night in Plaszów?
Twice a day.
Will you describe
In
that?
the morning, you had to stand for your barrack, and they counted, and in the evening, rain or shine, snow.
How many times did you get food a day? How many times a day?
I think it must have been twice.
What
the
did you
evening.
get?
I think in the evening I got a coffee and bread, or in the morning coffee and bread, and a soup in the evening, one of the two.
And that was all the food you received?
Yeah.
And the only work you did in Plaszów was that bricklaying?
Yeah.
Did you feel that you were losing any strength there? Were you starved at all times? Or how did it feel?
We was
that
always
time?
hungry, always hungry. We were dreaming for bread. We used to get a bread, and it says give it for 6 people.
Describe how they were distributing the bread there.
You wouldn't believe it. We had a makeshift knife. We cut 6 pieces.
Who cut the bread?
And
One
that
of
was
the-
one
one
of
of
them cut the bread. But the funny thing about it was that we maybe were, oh, that is bigger, that is smaller. So one of them has to turn away his head for whom, and they ask, whom goes that's for Martin. So I got a piece. So I can't complain. That was a setup that one of them get a bigger part.
You had to take potluck.
Yeah. And some of the people put away underneath the cushion, you know, and they stole it overnight.
Did anybody steal it from them?
Oh
Did
yeah,
that happen all?
some people. Yeah, it's survival. It was survival. But I don't know. I wasn't that type. I just ate what they gave me. And maybe that helped me survive. Some people used to eat all kind of garbage from the field, pick up, and they swell up, you know, and just passed out, you know.
So how long did you stay then in Plasher? We are now in
I
44.
think it's, I would say 3 months maybe. Probably, yeah, it must have been 3 or 4 months. Well, I remember October, November, they took us with the train, with the railroad train to Gross Rosen. It was a beautiful, nice-looking camp, but a very miserable camp. That, but I feel that I'm not. We stopped in Gross Rosen a few miles before the camp, we had to walk, and I barely made it. I felt I just couldn't walk.
What time
Help
of the
me.
year? What time of the year was that?
It was October, November, and it was in the evening, late in the evening, and I know we arrived to Gross Rosen, to a football stadium, and they undressed us and left us stay all night naked.
They took everything.
Everything.
Did you, when you were in Auschwitz,
Yeah.
I'd like to bring you back.
Yeah.
Did you receive any clothes? Were you given a number? Since you were there 4 days.
We got striped clothes.
Yeah.
We got a number to put it on here, but I never got in the hand. The reason it was such a rush of people, they had no time to
Do
give
you
us
know
a
whether
number.
your father had a number tattooed? You don't.
I don't know the reason. We were already separated, so I don't know.
So those very same clothes are the things that they took off you in Gross Rosen? Is
Yeah,
that what you
they
were
take
wearing
it, right.
all the time?
They took it off and they gave us new in the morning. But we almost froze to death standing in a stadium naked.
You were outside on the street?
Yeah.
So that you were all young people, or everybody from Plaszow was taken to Gross Rosen?
Everybody. A lot. They went for a few camps, but a group of them went to Gross Rosen.
Did they keep you, the young people, together all the time, or not
No.
anymore?
No more were mixed up.
So how many people, more or less, were standing outside the camp?
It was quite a few hundred people. It was a lot of people. Like, they put us on a stadium, so there must have been a lot of people. We botched one in the other one. The reason it was so cold, freezing, you know.
And so what happened next morning?
Next morning they gave us new striped clothes, and we got a barrack assignment, and we were there waiting. Looks like they were waiting to the next camp to send us.
You're interviewing Mr. Martin Wegh, interviewer Anita White. Today's date is December 8th, 1995. We're in Flushing, Queens. Mr. Wegh, I would like to take you back now to Gross Rosen. You just arrived. You were taken, all the clothes were taken away, and next morning they are giving you finally clothes after you were freezing all night long.
Yeah,
What
they
happened?
gave us new striped clothes. And
Did
we
you
got-
have a number?
We got a number, but I don't remember the number. And the funny thing is they give us a new barracks, shoes, food, very clean.
What kind of shoes? Regular shoes?
Wooden shoes.
Wooden shoes.
Wooden shoes. And it's a very rough. The camp was beautiful, but there was people who was German barons who, I don't know what they did. They were mines. And they got a job to carry the explosive, the most dangerous.
I would like to understand. Do you mean German nobility
Yes.
were imprisoned
Yes,
in Gross Rosen?
in Gross Rosen.
So tell us again
And
about
they were
it.
special white with striped uniform, opposite direction. And there were about, I don't know, half a dozen or 10 people. And we knew it in the morning, they used to go, in the evening you used to see them when they come back, you know, from the mines.
And what describe their job again? What were they doing?
They were using explosive to mine. I don't know what they were mining.
And
But,
they carried the
They,
explosive?
they carried the explosive, and they used the explosive, and they came back.
Did anybody, because such a dangerous job, was anybody blown up?
No, that I don't know. But I saw something else, like
Yes.
Sundays used to be soccer game in the camp. And since I'm a sportless, I used to watch. Suddenly I hear machine gun. I look around, somebody one of our people get crazy or something and start climbing on the barbed wire. And that far was the boot, in the air, and they just machine gunned them down, like nothing.
It was one of the Jewish prisoners?
Yeah. And it was very interesting whom I met there in the camp. As a kid, my parents took me once to a show in Czechoslovakia, Hungary. And there came a Jewish young boy, he was an acrobat. And who I meet, the same acrobat at the same camp, and he was doing the same thing inside as an inmate, but they used to get a lot of bread from the Germans to doing it, and they used to give us bread. But the bread was for schimmel, they say, what it
Yes,
means? It was
yes,
already moldy. But we didn't mind, we ate everything.
Was the Germans permitted him to perform in
Yes,
the camp?
right.
Do you know whether he survived?
No, I don't know this one. Well, you see what it's from Rosen was a camp that they send you different places. We were sent to a place that they call it Reichenbach, like between two towns, Reichenbach, Langenbilla, and I was lucky that I was selected to work in a factory inside.
In which place?
I think it was Langenbilla, by Krupp, making bombs, I think. And I was lucky I was selected, and some people went to construction, some people different work.
What were you doing?
I had a big machine who cutting in the bomb for the nose, and I had a very big machine, and I had it's a freezer, how you call it was cutting in, but I had to go piece by piece slowly. If you went too much, it broke.
What
Then-
broke, the machine or the piece?
No, the piece. So then you had to go back to the management to get another one. And you used to get beat up, how come you're sabotaging me?
What hours were you working there?
From 6 to 6. From 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning.
You had the night shift.
Night shift, right?
Did they let you sleep during the day?
Yeah, well, what happened like this, that we went in the evening, so we started working 6. 6 o'clock in the morning we left back home, and before we had to stay, and they were counting us. They were counting appel. And we had to stay, and then after that we went to sleep.
So, tell me what happened at that machine. Were you always wide awake? It was a night shift. Were you awake at the machine?
I was awake at the machine. I was awake, but then 12:30, they used to give you a 3/4 an hour break.
Were they feeding you then?
You stayed in the line to get your food. But my stomach wouldn't work. Just
Why?
wouldn't I don't know why I couldn't eat. All the soup or what they gave you was no good. I just couldn't eat. I used to give it away to my friends.
So what did you do?
I went to sleep, and they have a siren wake you up. But once happened that I overslept. Instead the German kicked me or something, he had a bayonet on his, and he pushed me until the bone on my leg.
Was that what was that, regular guard or who
A
was
guard,
that?
the regular guard, bandit. He pushed me in so deep that in the morning I barely could walk home. I had pain.
Were you bleeding?
Yeah, sure, I was bleeding. And I survived. But some German was not bad. I had a German soldier who used to bring me a few times sandwiches. He couldn't give it to me. He had to put it down someplace. He says, Martin, go there, pick up the sandwich. So he was nice.
Were they SS people or were they just regular
Well,
German Wehrmacht? Who was
Some SS, some old people, and some young kids yet, so that was their job. But it happened very interesting that what happened was that I came to a group of small pieces I stole, and I had it put away. In case I broke one, I always can exchange one for another one, it's no problem. But if I break one and I have a new one, they beat you up. So I had some spare each time to go there to exchange. But one day a piece of metal went in my eye, and they took care of me in the hospital, there in the factory. They put a patch. And next morning we went to the city, from concentration camp to the city, to take out a piece of metal from my eye. And the German soldier comes with me. He has a gun, and he complains what goes on. He doesn't want to be a soldier. He has a family. And suddenly when we arrived to the city, we were walking. A German SS stops him. He says, don't you know that I'm a Häftling? I'm a prisoner, that I have to go 3 yards in front of him, and he has to go with the gun like this on me. So
did he do so? Was he
did.
afraid?
He had to do it.
Yeah.
So we went in the city, and the people were giving me food.
Who were
laying
the
down.
people? You mean
The German people,
civilians?
civilian, they put food on the floor. They couldn't give it to me. So when I arrived to the doctor with the soldier says to me, give me a piece too, well, I'm hungry too. So we shared. And it was nice. He took it out with a magnet somehow. Very nice.
It was a German doctor.
German doctor, private, not in hospital. Looks like he must have been a specialist. And they took it out with a magnet, pulled it out, and
And your eye was all right?
yeah, I had no problem.
And that was in Gross-Rosen concentration camp?
No.
That they took you?
No, that was in Langenbühl.
In Langenbühl.
Right.
Right, that's true.
And then that happened one evening. I don't know what happened. I got hit over the face twice from the back from a capo with no reason.
What nationality was the capo?
Yeah, Polish.
A Jew?
Yeah. And I don't know what happened. I turned around and I caught him with one hand. I gave him back both. And then I feel sorry what I did. Here I'm working in a factory. Now we go back in the camp and he will tell the Lagerführer that what happened. And they're going to throw me out in construction. And I have no clothing, winter clothing. We got very ill. But the verdict was that I have to get 25 of my lashes on my ass. And it was a funny thing is that I only felt 2 or 3.
Why? What happened?
Well, it's verschluffen geworden. You know, it's, you get, you don't know. You get numb, so it doesn't matter how many they hit.
And you got all 25 lashes?
No, I don't think so. And they let me out, and I got my job back. I was very happy. The reason it would be, you know, I wouldn't have survived. Well, I had friends who worked in other places, and they became sick, didn't have clothes. Quite a few of my friends from my town, I went to school, says, Martin, tomorrow I'm dying. And they died. They just gave up on life. I never gave up on life. I used to take showers when it's freezing cold.
Just to keep clean?
Just to keep clean. Well, they took us once or twice disinfection. We went into a building, you give all your clothes, you go to yourself, they will disinfected you, shave you, and then you come out another and they give you back your clothes.
Did you have a choice to do that, or did they tell you you have to do it?
They took everybody, the whole camp.
So how long did you stay in that camp, Langenbühl?
Well, the Lagerführer was a very nice German guy. He had a meeting with us, and he told us, if you behave nice, I believe you that you can go in the stock room and take potatoes, but everybody should take a few.
What time, when was that? What years are we talking about?
It was in 45.
What time
Beginning of
of
45.
Of what nationality was that Lagerführer?
The Lagerführer was a German. He recessed or something.
And
he was
said
nice. He had a meeting, I remember, and he told us that if you behave, you can take a few potatoes, but don't get wild and just steal as much as you can, you know. It was pretty nice. And
so did he let you go in? You went for the potatoes?
Sure.
What did you do with the potatoes? You
we
cooked
burned them, we cooked them, we baked them. We eat them raw.
Yeah. Were there any collaborators in that camp? Was there anybody who was under him, who was helping him run the camp?
There was a Jewish, what do you call this one, camp. His name was Burgmeister. He was the head of the camp from inside. He was probably a collaborator, you can call him.
What nationality was he?
He was a Polish too. Yeah, he was dressed like a leather coat, officer's boots, you know. He was a big shot. even had his brother there in the same camp.
And
Yes.
was he making life difficult for the Jews there?
He was, I don't know if you can say difficult, but they were rough. They had to play for the Germans. They not played for us.
So now, what time of the year are we now in 1945? You said
I think it must have been January, February.
what happens to the factory then now?
Well, the factory still was existing, but I think about 2 months before the liberation, the Russians were coming close, and I even saw people who were from Auschwitz. They took him for a death march, and very few arrived to our camp. They just died on the streets, on the highways, you know. So we were lucky that Lagerführer, we could have marched too from there, but he kept us there. He was a very nice man. It's my personal opinion, so I don't know. But 2 months before in the liberation, dismantled the factory. The Russian is coming and they don't want to leave a factory for the Russian.
So what did they do with the pieces of the factory? The
They
machinery?
dismantled them, and I don't know where they took him. So they gave us a job to go in the hills where big trees was there, and we had to make trenches.
Why? For whom were you digging the trenches?
The trenches, they had old people who supposed to be protect the city from the Russian. But I don't think so that would have happened. But it looks like they made us to be busy, you know.
So you were digging trenches for
Right.
almost 2 months?
Yeah,
For 2 months?
2 month trenches, yeah. Well, you see, we had a shovel and a pick. Took a
But
long
wasn't
time.
that winter time? Was it
It
hard?
was winter time, it was very hard. It was going in zigzag, you know.
Yes. Were they feeding you any differently then? Were they any better to you because they knew the Russians were coming or not?
No, they were very... The food was the same food.
Were you cognizant, were there any people who, although it was so close, were people still dying then at that time?
Or not just dying, when the factory closed, I think, or they wanted to get rid of some kids. So they said any children who wants to go to a children farm should go to a certain place. So I ran. But when I came there was rumors that they're going to kill us. So I ran back.
Where was there?
That was in Langenbilla. It's
Yeah,
in the
but
camp.
Just in the camp, was there a
Yeah.
meeting place for the children? Is that it?
No, it was in an appel. And they said,
I see.
anybody wants to go to a
Children.
children's camp should go over here, and tomorrow will come a transport that will take you.
So you went there.
I went there, but I stayed for a few minutes. I heard rumors that it's not a children's camp, that you're gonna just kill you. So what happened, so I ran back.
And you were able to run away.
I ran back from the other group to the
Yeah.
same group. So then we find out that nobody came back, you know, and
That they
they
killed
just,
them.
yeah.
So you remained, and you're digging trenches. And
Digging
what's
trenches.
happening then? What happens then?
The trenches, it's the funny thing is when we finish the trench, the Russians are coming close. We arrive, I mean it comes, and we are talking between us. If we will see a sign that Hitler is dead, the war is over. We have the feeling, I guess, a funny thing is that rumors between us. And it was that we decided, the German counted us an appel in the morning, May 8th. He counted us and we start singing the Tikva.
The Germans are counting you, and you
Counting, and we start, after they counted us up,
and
they
the
went
Germans
away.
are still there.
The Germans still there, and we sing the Tikva. And that German was so mad, he came back and he says, "Ihr seid nach Häftlingen." We're still in
You're still prisoners.
the prisoners. Then he took his bike, he ran away.
You're talking only about one man? This was just one
But
man that
they
was
ran
left?
away, yeah, one of them left. They ran,
When did the others run away?
before, probably the same day early in the morning. They didn't want to get involved like this man wanted.
Well, how did you know that Hitler was dead?
We saw signs on their barracks, on the military barracks, Hitler sign in black around it, you know, that he's dead.
So you
once-
assumed they were dead.
So we assume that the war is over. So the next, the funny thing is, as we had appel, Jewish people came from other camps. They are from outside the gate. It looks like that a few miles away was other camps, and they were freed by the Russian already.
So they came to
They
you.
came to us, and then next day, a Russian officer comes in, a general, and he speaks to us Yiddish.
Do
and he
you
was-
remember his name?
No.
No.
He was a very nice man. He spoke to us Yiddish, and he was the head of the army there, and he begged us not to walk in the street in the evenings. The
Why?
reason every bridge in big building is we're going to be a soldier. We don't speak Russian, and he's going to tell you stop, and you're going to run, and you're going to get killed. So I abide by the rules. So in the morning when I went in the city, I see my friends dead there, quite a few of them. So
They were shot by
they
the
were shot,
Russians?
Russian, but it's their own fault. He asked them, don't walk nights in the street. It's just the first day after the Russian took over, you know.
So then from the camp you went in the morning to the city.
Yeah,
And
we went
what
in
did
the
you
city.
do? Where were the Germans? Tell us, describe
Ger-
the whole thing.
First of all, the population ran away.
The German
The
population.
German population ran away. You could find hot meals on the stove. So we went looting, eating food. That's not good either, you know.
Yeah, because you had an empty
The
stomach.
empty stove with no food. It happened to me that I found in a building very nice boots, military boots, and I put it on, and they were small, and I rubbed off my legs,
Oh,
and suddenly I see a red start going, a red. So I ran in the hospital. It was an infection, blood infection.
they were in the hospital in the city you went
In the
to?
city, and they took care of me, the German.
The German.
The German.
They were
German
still
hospital.
running the hospital.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we went every day in and out, and then someday we, 3 or 4 guys, we took an apartment and we stayed.
Yes.
In the
What
port.
did you do for food? Did the Russians supply it, or did you take
Ah,
it from the?
I think we
whatever
found in the
was-
houses.
Yeah. Mhm.
They had everything there in the houses. Some people who were smart picked up collections of stamps.
Really?
Yeah, but I had no idea of stamps.
You were so young.
So young, I have no idea thing like that. There was an elderly man. And funny thing is, this man who did, I was mad at him.
Why?
Well, when I came from Czechoslovakia to Auschwitz, my cousin who had a shoe store, he built money in the shoe that I can take it out. And even in Auschwitz, they ask us, if somebody has dollar money, you have to give it. If they catch you, they're going to kill you. But I didn't give it nothing. So this man in Krakow, I told him I have dollars, I would like to change. He says, give me the money, I change it. And I gave him the money, I never saw nothing. So I cursed him out. And that was the same guy.
So did you ask him, did you ever
No,
confront him with that?
he paid with his life. And
In
I
what
said
way?
that the Lord punished him.
What happened?
I don't know, he just died.
After the war?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, she picks it up right away. What happened? Yeah.
Now, you live in that town now for a while with your friends. How long
Yeah.
do you stay in the town?
We stayed a few weeks, and then we walked in the town, and then suddenly we walked with a group of people. And what happened? One of the fellows see a couple, and he became outraged, and he says in Polish, "On chce mnie zabić," he wants to kill me, and he became disarray and hysterical, and
He was still afraid of him.
yeah, and we took him in the hospital. He became very, meshuggah.
Yes. Because
we
he
took-
still was so afraid
Yeah.
of the copper.
And we took him to a hospital. They kept him. Who knows
What happened to the copper? Did anybody do anything to the copper?
No, we didn't do nothing. Some places they beat them up, killed them,
Did you see any of the Germans who were the guards in either Gross-Rosen or your other camps? Did you ever meet up while you were in Germany with
No,
those people?
no.
They just disappeared.
They had the rather with civilian clothes with them too, and the rest
Disappeared.
disappeared, right?
So now, but you think that that camp manager, that camp supervisor, the German one who had you for the last 2 months, you think that he saved the camp's Jewish
He
inmates?
saved. The reason he saved, I heard that he had to take us away. How you call it, march. But
On a death march?
On a death march, and he decided not. So I feel he was a pretty nice guy.
And in that way he saved the lives
Yeah.
of the people. Now tell me, when do you finally leave that town?
We were a few weeks there.
What's the name of that town, by the way? Do you remember?
I think it was the Reichenbach.
Right.
Right. There are two towns next to each other. Langenbill, I worked in Reichenbach, is a town. It's near. It's not belong to Poland. And the Polish authority arrived in there, and so I went to the authority. I want to get papers to leave. He says you have to bring your things with you.
Ah.
We didn't want to bring the things with us. We were figuring out they're going to steal it or something. So we started walking. The train was going 5 miles. We had to walk 20 miles to the next one. Everything was bombed, out,
Which direction were you going?
to Czechoslovakia, to the Czech part. It looks like they are close there. So we arrived, I don't know after how long we walked. We arrived in a town, and the Czech people, they're such a nice people, they waited us with food.
They helped. with
They
food.
helped us. The train was crowded.
Were you already in civilian clothes, of course?
Yeah,
and
civilian clothes. Civilian German clothes we had. So we had to start going home to my hometown, Košice. But you see, everything was bombed in the train. The only thing that can go on the train, on top of the train. And in Czechoslovakia is a lot of tunnels. We have to be very careful that when you reach the tunnel, you have to go flat. Otherwise you get
killed.
knocked off, So we arrived somehow to Bratislava. Well, each time they stopped in a town, the town people gave us food. They know the refugees coming home, and they're very nice people.
Were you meeting up with any survivors, Jewish survivors in those towns already or not?
Well, we came with the group. We kept together from my own town, so we came to Bratislava, and we cannot go to my town. The reason hundreds of miles, no train, nothing, bridges blown up, so we had to go to Budapest. So we arrived to Budapest, because the Jewish agencies gave us some money.
To do what?
To
To
survive,
survive.
to eat food. They give us a place even to sleep. So we took another train to go to my town. But it took a long time. The reason is the same thing. The train was going, sometime I could walk next to the train. That's why it was moving slowly.
So how long did it take you to get to Košice?
Probably a week, 10 days. We came to Košice, so I went to look around and find my cousin, Malvin. Since they were hidden in Budapest, they
But-
came right away.
But how did you know that they survived? You didn't know.
No, I didn't know nothing. I didn't even myself. It's a good question.
But you found them
I
in
find
Košice.
them in Košice. Maybe I went to the Jewish agency and they know the names. So I went to their house, and she was like a mother to me. And she took the whole family in.
Who survived from your family?
I only have from my mother's side like this. I survived, then I have a cousin, they call it Jolanini. She has 3 sons. They're still living with Yosef, Chaim, and Yaakov. Yaakov lives in Canada, the other 2 brothers live in Israel. Then I have cousins from my mother's side, Dora, the Malvin, and Jolanini. But Jolanini, they're dead, they never came back. The Dora, I have a funny story. All right, that I'll tell you later. It's a very interesting story. When I arrived there, I was very undernourished
Where was there?
in
Košice.
Košice. So the UNRWA, they came, the UNRWA had an office, and I went there and they said, you must go to, let's call it the Vysoké Tatry, Zakopane, it's near Poland, Erholung, to come to myself. So I went there for a month.
And UNRWA sponsored that.
The UNRWA paid everything. and I really felt good there. So when I came back, my cousin, they left to Carlsbad, Malvin.
Yes.
So I had no choice to go there. So I came to Carlsbad, and I had Malvin had a sister, Dora. She lived not far from the railroad station. So when I arrived to Carlsbad in the evening, 11 o'clock, I went to her. I slept in the morning. In the morning she says to me, "Listen, Martin, I'm not your mother, I'm not your father. That's it." And I never cried in my life. I cried in terms of the reason. My mother was in jail for a year to save her life.
How did that happen?
Well, in 1942, see, my town became Hungary in 1938. And my cousins lived 30 kilometers, nothing. But that was Czech, the Slovak. They didn't. So in 1942, they deported the Slovak Jews. So she came to my town, and she stayed in our house. Then she went to Budapest. My mother went to the train and helped her the package. And the policeman says, "Whose package is this?" And my cousin saw it, she disappeared. So they opened and they saw she had paper from Czechoslovakia. "Oh, you're harboring a Slovak person." She got 1 year jail sentence for that.
From right in Košice there, although they
They
knew
put
her?
her, they caught her. Well, the papers were from Prešov. They saw her. And they saw her too, but she disappeared. So she disappeared. So they took my wife. You harboring a stranger from a strange country. She got 1 year.
And
in
your
jail.
mother sat in jail
Yes, 1 year.
in Košice?
Not Košice, they sent her in a special camp.
Special.
Yeah.
And this was the woman who did not want to take
Yeah.
you in?
Since then, I cannot see that woman. I was in Israel, she was in Israel, and I visited, I never went to her, I went to see her, and this, still today, I could cry for that, what she did to me. I was a young kid. I will tell you further what happened after this.
You are already in Bratislava. No. You
We are
are
in
now in
Carlsbad.
Unra. I'm in Zakopane.
No,
And we
we're,
finished with Dora, and you just
yeah,
got
Vidora,
in
yeah, Vidora,
to
yeah.
Carlsbad. You're now in Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Okay. So it would be nice if we finish in 4, but if you have to do 5, we'll do 5. That's all. I'm not hemming you in. I'm not telling you.
Okay,
Okay.
whenever you're ready.
We're at, that's tape number 3. Today's day is December 8, 1995. We are interviewing the survivor, Mr. Martin Wegh. The interviewer is Anita White. Mr. Wegh, I would like to take you back now to Carlsbad. You just arrived and you left your Aunt Dora, who was so ungrateful to you. Would you tell us what happens to you now? Where do you go?
I went to her sister, Malvin. I got the address where she lives in the city, and I went to them, and I was there in their house. But then I decided I better go in a youth hostel. It was in Czechoslovakia, was a group, they call it Sves České mládeže.
Yes.
They're a Czechoslovakian youth, and I went in, they give me board, schooling, food, everything.
But that was
For
a
nothing.
Czechish.
A Czech, yeah. Anybody can go in,
organization.
right.
Yeah.
We met a few Jewish people there.
Mhm. What were you
And,
doing in that group?
Well, for going to school, what I didn't make before the war, so I learned after the war. And we went in and forget
How
it.
long did you stay with that group?
I would say I stayed approximately January 46.
Did you get any sort of a diploma from that school, anything?
No, I didn't get nothing, but didn't finish it. And I felt very good there. No discrimination, no Jews, no nothing. So one day came a Jewish boy, and he asked if we got Jews here. I said, yes. I says, I would like to organize a group out from here. He started telling about Israel. I says, who the hell wants to be Soros with the Jewish? I'm very well off here. But then he spoke sense to me, and I decided we should join this group. It looks like the group was Hashomer HaTzair, and we got a few guys, and they had right away in cars by the building that we had to sleep, to do the same thing the Czech youth, to organize the group.
Who was sponsoring the group?
Well, it must have been from Israel. That must be a shliach. And when we had a group, I would say a few hundred people, we went to Bratislava. In Bratislava, we were told we are Greeks, with no papers, and we're going home to Greece. So we went to Vienna. So we went to Bratislava. In Bratislava, we went to the border. We are Greek. And they told us, if they ask you something, tell Ma Tovi or Yolech or Yisrael, some Hebrew words, and that's it. And we crossed to Vienna. In Vienna is a Rothschild house. Looks like Rothschild owned it. And there we constituted another group. So we came together, a lot of groups from all over, from Hungary, from Czechoslovakia, from Poland, and all of them belong to the Shomer HaTzair. Now here is a problem. We are in the Russian zone, and I don't know how many miles away is a river ends. If you cross the river, the American zone. And they're strict. The Russian doesn't let nobody out, and the American doesn't let in. But with the Russian was very good. When Jewish Russian was at the was on the train, the border guard, and they gave him a few bottles, and that's it. There's no problem. The problem starts when you come to the American zone. The train goes slowly over a bridge. In each American soldier goes in each train at the door. If a group comes, they push it back. So they told us that one of them has to jump out the window, and the soldier is going to run after them. And once the soldier runs, then you'll be running around. That's what happened. So we went across the border. There was no problem with the Russian. We came to the American zone, and so each door a soldier goes up. And one of them jumped out the window. The soldier ran after him. So we picked up the whole group, and they took us in a DP camp in the American zone.
I see. So
And
that's what you wanted, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
But then, a few days took. We got the permission to go further.
Do you
So-
remember the name of the DP camp?
It must be in Ants, they call it. It's near the water, and we were at the camp, and we went to Salzburg. In Salzburg, we're supposed to go to Italy, to go closer to Israel. So we went to Innsbruck. We stayed in Innsbruck till a certain date. In Innsbruck, we started going to the Italian mountains somewhere.
Where did you stay in Innsbruck? Were you together in a special home?
It's a building, yeah. I don't know, it was organized, very well organized.
Did
In every
you
place.
have any adventures in Innsbruck? What happened in Innsbruck?
Oh, you know what we did? You wouldn't believe it.
What?
And I never told it to a lot of people. They were laying truckload of ammunition like macaronis.
Why?
It looks like it was in the street. And we used to take this, and in the empty can fill it up, and keep one of them out, and put the match, and they used to blow.
Like firecrackers, you mean?
Yeah, I used to jump up 100 feet in the air, and explode.
Weren't you aware how dangerous that could have been?
No, that we didn't wear. We had fun.
So what
we went.
happened in Innsbruck?
So we went to. We had to go to Italian border. We arrived to the border, and I don't know, we couldn't make it, or it was a big snow, or the Italian caught us. We had to go back to Innsbruck. And we had to abandon the whole thing, go back to Salzburg, and we had to cross the border to Bad Reichenthal.
Did you meet anybody in Innsbruck? Did you meet any other Jews in Innsbruck?
No, I met in Salzburg, was the interesting story. They have Schloss, how you call this one in English?
Castle.
Castles. We went to see the castles, and suddenly we spoke Yiddish. So suddenly from the jail, there was a jail, a man screams, Yidden, ich bin in Twisse, guys, look, the Yiddische Gemeinde, that they should save me.
Jews, I am in jail,
Jail,
please
right,
tell.
please save me. So what happened, we went to the Gemeinde, and they saved them.
They took him out.
Yeah, they took him out. But they had to know, nobody knows, so they will stay for months, for years in jail.
So you saved somebody's life.
Yeah, so then from Salzburg, we went to Bad Reichenthal, and then we went to Poking. From Poking, we get quiet. From Poking, we went to Hanover. From Hanover we were there, we went to Eschwege by Kassel, then to Hanover.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
All this time, were you, as a group, going
With the
to
group,
Israel?
right.
Was there somebody leading that group? Was
Yeah,
he
we had an
was he an
elderly-
Israeli?
No, it was not Israeli. One of them, who was older, a little bit, a few years older, he had experience and he was guiding us. Very nice man. And
So
first
where
time
are
we
you
went to
now?
Eschwege by Kassel, we went. In Eschwege by Kassel I became a soccer player.
How did that come about?
Oh, I was a good sport. I played soccer. I even went, funny thing is, I will tell you, I went to Wetzlar, I remember, and I playing professional soccer team. And I must tell you about this. In 1985, I was sent from Willoughby cameras, where I worked 35 years, to a course, photography course, to Wetzlar, and I remember the football stadium. So I went up the new building, I look out, I see the stadium, it's a new stadium, now it's completely different.
But you played in that
I played in
stadium.
that stadium, right.
And that was a different year. What year was that?
It was 1985, and it was in 1946.
46, right.
So quite, but
Was that a soccer team strictly from those people who were in that group?
In the
that you
camp,
have
yeah.
In that camp,
Yeah.
right. And now, so how long do you stay in that Wetzlar?
I don't know how long I stayed exactly, but from Wetzlar we went to Hanover.
Yes, and from there?
In Hanover, they choose, I think, a group, they call it in Hebrew Garinim. It means like a garin, it means
Seed.
seed, right. They took a group of us that will go in advance to Israel, prepare.
And you were one of that group?
Yeah. So we went with trucks through Strasbourg, I forget, to Marseilles, one of the hills. Boy, high in the hills, we camp. It looks like that they organized a group there till some boat come. They have an empty boat, and it came a fishing vessel came, and they took us back from there to Nice. In Nice, the fishing vessel came close, and they had a rope and rubber boats, and we used to pull each other till there. And we left.
What kind of a boat was it?
Fishing boat.
What nationality, I mean?
No idea.
Mhm.
That was an Israeli captain, but everything was Israeli. But the
But
boat
it
was, the
that
worker
was
was not
not-
Israeli.
Was that legal
No.
entry to Palestine?
No, that's illegal. The reason when we went, it took us 2 weeks to arrive to Israel, and the British caught us.
They caught you.
Got us.
So what did they do?
Well, they took us off their boat, off our boat, and they put us on their boat, and they took us to Cyprus. 2 weeks after everything was there, I still feeling that I'm shaking. I was so sick like a dog. I was the Galhaber you know, it was everything so, I couldn't take it.
Was that a camp in Cyprus now?
Oh, Cyprus was a big camp under the British mandate, you know, they were, the soldiers asked us not to fight with them. They're a soldier and they just follow rules, you know. So we were learning, so since we were a group of Shomer Tzai, we were learning about the Haganah. Instead guns, we had sticks. We were prepared. But there came out a law that children under 16 doesn't have to stay in Cyprus, can go to Israel.
Legitimately.
Legit. But I looked very young. So I went through as a child, 16. And I arrived to Israel in April. So I wasn't too long in Cyprus, maybe 2 months.
What year was that?
48. I came to Israel and right away they were straight in the army. I mean, we went to...
Tell us how did they get you into the army? Was that the Haganah?
The Haganah, they have a station, Betlito, if it was. You go there, you register. I still have my military book here. And
They took you right away.
they took us right away and we sent us to Givat Olga. It's near Hedera by the sea. It's a police station. And we were learning that. I remember they used to give you bullets. They counted the bullets.
They didn't have any.
And then after I went through, I don't know, 3 months training, they had to teach us Hebrew. I mean, everything in Hebrew, you know. Then they put us in Ein Shemer. It's a camp, a military camp. And we went out to patrols a few times.
Who was teaching you in those, in Inshammer and in the other places?
Well, it was like this, that a lot of British soldiers, captains, who had Jewish wives, non-Jewish people. And then Jews too, you know, they were in the British Army. I had one of them, he was very rough. He was not Jewish, but he's like a Jewish wife and Jewish children, you know. He was giving her the business, this guy.
But he wanted to teach you, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he teaches. They're very strict. You know, the British system is a rough system, and Israel is built on that system. So I remember one night that we went to a patrol, 11 people. We had to go, I don't know, Janino, where it is, in a military camp, shoot on the camp, stay there till they answer back to find out what kind of power they have in their camp.
Well, the
What-
Arabs
what-
you're talking
the Arabs,
about.
right.
Yeah.
So I remember I went in shorts, and the grass is so rough there that I was cut all over bloody, but I didn't feel nothing.
You-
I came home, we were going to bed and give him back the guns and everything, and we got a call 1 o'clock in the night that we have to go. What? They don't tell us. And we're going through Netanya. Then they told us that they came on a ship, Altalena, and they have ammunition, and Begin wants to have their own army, and we cannot have two armies or three armies, only one army with one general who runs the army. And I agreed, I said. So we went there close to the sea where the ship unloaded, and they started shooting on us. So we're shooting back.
Altalena
But
shot at you first?
Yeah.
And then you shot
Phosphor
them.
bullets, again I forget, I was laying and it's near, well, they were done, we are on top. But then next day I think the boat ran to Tel Aviv, and all the ammunition, I saw them there, you know, they're talking that the ammunition was
In the ocean.
in the ocean. It's not true, I saw the ammunition, everything.
Well, did Begin and their group pick up that ammunition, or did Ben-Gurion
No,
get
Ben-Gurion picked it up, and Begin cried like a baby on radio, I remember. And I was surprised that Begin is such a strong man, you know, leader from the underground. He cried like a baby, but I think
Tell me,
Ben-Gurion did the right thing. That's my opinion.
was that already after the establishment of the State of Israel?
I think we looked it up. I think it is just when after
The vote in
the
UN.
vote in the United Nations, I think. Then it happened.
So what happened after the Altalena to you? What did you do?
Nothing. I don't remember what was what. I fought in two places. One I fought to Jerusalem.
Did you fight in
I was stationed in Latrun, to go fight to Latrun. I don't know, it's Kibbutz Knan or what kibbutz it was. And we're supposed to go take Jerusalem. And what happened, that they killed Bernadotte. We were out, trucks
Count
and everything,
Bernadotte,
and we had to pull back. The reason they would say, oh, the Jews special killed Bernadotte, that they can take Jerusalem. So
So they pulled you back.
pulled us back. But before that, in Latrun, all my group, what we came from Cyprus, we went to fight with not a big experience. And the Latrun police station is on top, and we are on the bottom, and we got shellacked, we got knocked off almost of them. I was lucky I survived. All my friends got killed, the whole group.
Was that your experience, that some of those people, your friends, as you say, and the others who died at Latrun, that they died because they didn't understand the Hebrew command?
No,
No?
that's not the reason. We didn't know that they were. I just saw that police station. They're on top. That's like a fortress, and we are on the bottom, and we're supposed to take that place. And we didn't have that thing. You know how it was then? We used to switch the guns.
Why were you switching guns?
Well, we don't have enough guns. So other group couldn't relieve us. We should give them our guns, you know. So they didn't have enough power.
Was the fight at night or during the
Night,
day? At
night. We went.
How long did the fight for Latrun last?
I think one night we had a very big, all my friends died, so
Losses.
they stopped it. And then the reason they had to build a new road to Jerusalem. I just took recently my wife and my daughter, my grandson, to take pictures from Latrun, and there is a big museum now there.
So, then what happened?
I think I fought even the Galil. I took in the Galil, Kivush Galil station, and I became, yeah. But in between time, they sent me to a course, a corporal. Big deal.
So they made you
I went to a school,
officer.
in Akko was a school that time, and we went through, and I became a commando, head of a commando. And it's a half track. In the front, it's like a car, and like wheels in the back, like a tank, you know. And it's metal protected. And I was so, not just I went through as a corporal, I went through a radio too. So I was everything. I remember even I went out to, in the Galil in the Lebanon. I went out with 11 people, a whole police station, watch a whole countryside. Even I volunteered to stay 2 hours night, so the other guys shouldn't have so much to stay in the evening, you know. And when I finished school, I came back to the same group of people. I didn't want to respect, but sometimes they have to respect me. So one guy was giving me a hard time, so I went to the captain to listen to me. Fridays we get the permission to go in the city. You get a paper, you know. Do me a favor, don't give this guy permission, and tell him why. So next time he shouldn't be nasty to me. And he did it.
And it worked?
It worked. I didn't want to respect. I guess my friend, we fight together. We live together. You know. But sometimes you have to follow rules, you know.
And orders.
Orders. And Israel was then in. And I believe in orders. You cannot fool around, or one of them should do more than the other one. It should be, it's supposed to be.
So what happened to you then?
Well, what happened then, I was deciding maybe to leave the army, go in the kibbutz. But the rest of it, who came later, it was a group, what came later. And they went in the kibbutz. First they came to a kibbutz Kvar Masaryk, the Czechoslovakian Masaryk. And then from there they went to a kibbutz Ein HaShofet, it's near Zichron Yaakov, not far from Haifa. And I went to kibbutz. And I liked it in kibbutz. I finished the army in 49 and I stayed in kibbutz, but then I see I have to have a future in the evening. I finished to work 6, I cleaned up, I go out to walk, an hour later the Martin, you have to help, a truckload merchandise came in. I says, all right, I went once, twice, 3 times. Then I says, why is it always me? Are you single? The other one has to walk with his wife and children. So I says, for that I have to come to kibbutz and be a slave. So I quit. I went out to kibbutz, my cousin Chaim, who lives in Ramla, and I went there.
What was your cousin Chaim doing in Ramla?
He was working for the Mokoret. It's a government. He owned a lot of pardesim from the government, and nobody took care of it. And he took care of it. He was like a big shot manager, right? So he gave me a job.
How long did you stay in Ramla?
I stayed not too long till I settled, and I went to work in construction. Yeah.
Did you pick construction just like that?
Yeah, it came. I don't know how it comes to. It came to they were building in Ramle a reservoir in concrete, and I went to work there. First, I went there to learn to be a carpenter, and I became a good carpenter. So then, from there on, I went to the Negev. I worked in the desert, and I made good money, a lot of money. I didn't know what to do with the money. Good money, food and everything free. No taxes to pay.
Was it because you were in the Negev?
Yeah. It was very rough there. It was no, hot, no highways, buses, nothing. I had to really rough, going.
How long did you stay in the Negev?
I worked till 1953 in the Negev.
And?
worked in 1953, I decided I have to go to Belgium. I don't
Why
know.
Belgium?
Then there was something in my head. I have to get in Belgium and get married and come to America. It's like a dream. And I worked on it, and
Was it difficult to get papers out of Israel?
it was very difficult. But I made a mistake, not mistake. I didn't pay taxes all the years. The reason I worked in the Negev. When I wanted to leave, he says, "Oh, you want to leave the country? You pay the taxes, otherwise we'll not let you out." So I really I cried. Here I'm working, you know. I paid them the taxes and I left to Belgium. But I left like this. I find out that you don't go to Belgium. The reason they might catch you, the Belgian government, that you came from Israel, and they
What's
send you
wrong
back.
with being from Israel?
They don't want people, Belgium. So I went to France. I came to France and I was in Paris with another friend. And from Paris we went to Lille. It's a town, half of it is Belgium, half is French. No, we don't speak French, so we walk in the street and I see a Jewish face. So I looked away and I said to him, "Amchu, Jewish?" "Yeah." I said, "I would like to go to Belgium. Of Schwarz, I have no papers." So he says, "Let's go to Café Napoleon."
Napoleon?
Café Napoleon, never gonna forget. I go to the cafe, was there a Frenchman with his son. He says, "I want to go to Antwerp." "How much?" I think $20. All right. So what he took us, he brings us a beret, French beret, and we go to the border. Just a policeman, but if he doesn't ask you nothing. I crossed to Belgium. His son came with a taxi around, and that's it.
So that's how. Did your friend go with you?
Yeah, sure.
So now, which city are you in Belgium?
In Antwerp.
And now you go to Antwerp.
Yeah.
Right. And
I go to Antwerp, and in the first night, yeah, I went to a hotel. I slept. I showed them my passport. They didn't look if I have a visa or not, the hotel, but I have to put the name and address. So then I find friends. No, you have to make papers to stay in Belgium. So they tell me, "Listen, we have a route, and you go. The United Nations is in Brussels, and you go tell them you just come from Czechoslovakia, and you get papers to stay." So I learned the route.
but you had your passport was from Israel.
Yeah, I didn't show him passport. I said, "I just come away. I came black. I came black to the country." I said to him, "No papers." So I went to Brussels, and I tell them a story. I just came from Czechoslovakia. And they give me right away. They give me a paper to stay in Belgium. With this, I went to the police. I got the permit to stay in Belgium. And
So what did you start doing in Antwerp?
well, I worked in a wine cellar, kosher wine cellar, and I did all kind of works. And then it's a very interesting thing is in Belgium is the city, the Jewish people has a kitchen, free. So I went there to eat, and I
Were there
survived.
many Jewish refugees there in Belgium and Antwerp?
No, Jewish refugees plus people who live in Antwerp, you know. It was very good dinner, and they give you nothing, I don't know, 20 cents, 30 cents.
And who was sponsoring that? The Jewish community?
Yeah, they are very wealthy off, very well off, the Jewish community. And that's all kind of things I did.
Well, you want to mention any of those?
No.
Okay, so how long did you stay in Antwerp?
I stayed there 3 years, more than 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So then I met the parents for my wife, but they never told me they have a daughter, you know. And to another friend had a daughter, and they were friends. We met, and we went out, and I told her, "Listen, if you want to get married, but you must come to America, we have to start a new life. You deserve better than what I can give you in Belgium. First of all, I have a white card. Every 6 months I have to pay money to stay in Belgium, and they're harassing me. I have no right to work. And then if I'm married, they come to me and say, 'Oh, your wife is Belgian, you have to work, you have to support her.' So we decided to come to America.
And so how did you get papers to America?
No, I applied or the UGA or something like this. The committee was on the Czechoslovakian quarter, and my time came already to come. But when I got married with Paulette, they told me, "Why should you use the Czechoslovakian quota? A Belgian person has a right to take out your wife or your husband." The reason I didn't like to stay even to Belgium, I tell you the truth, Even if I would have stayed in Belgium and became a Belgian citizen, I would have no right to vote, second-grade citizenship. So that I didn't like.
Why?
That is the law. Opposite is different. If I would be a Belgian citizen, she would have right to vote, but opposite, yeah.
So then, what year did you and Paulette, when did you get married, by the way?
We got married in April 29, 1956, in Antwerp. Very nice wedding.
Yes.
First you have to marry in City Hall. You can't get Huppekedition if you don't marry in City Hall. That was the first thing.
Civilian wedding.
Civilian
first.
wedding. And we married in City Hall, and they knew it already, that we can live, you have to live together in Belgium. But they know that he didn't marry Jewish, so she lives separate and I live, and that in April 29 it will be the wedding. That was like Bomer.
And where did you get married?
In Antwerp, the
What
city.
is the name of the shul?
Van den Esla Schule just opened after it was the German destroyed it.
And that was a rebuilt shul.
Yeah. First for wedding in like Bomer. And at one night is in Belgium, I could be a poor man or millionaire. We got the same wedding, the same rabbi. I paid nothing, the other one paid $1 million. I wish I would be here the same thing, but it probably is.
So when did you arrive in America?
October 18, 1956.
Okay.
Tape number 4, today's date is December 8, 1995. We are interviewing the survivor, Mr. Martin Wegh. We are in Flushing, Queens. The interviewer, Anita White. Mr. Wegh, you just got married in Antwerp and you just arrived in America. Now, where do you go in America?
I came to Columbus, Ohio.
Why Columbus?
Well, my wife had a cousin living there, and an aunt for my wife lived there. So we figured we go there. And I got a, see what it is, I forgot to tell you that in Belgium I went through a course, electrician, and I had license.
As an electrician?
An electrician. So when I came in, somebody sent me a contract from Columbus, Ohio. So I went to Columbus, Ohio, and I got a job.
As an electrician?
As an electrician. And I worked probably till December. And we finished the factory. He says, in America is the last one hired, the first one go. So I got a pink slip. But going home, since I am a strong willpower to make it, going home I see they're breaking a building. And I says to him, I would like to have a job. I just was laid off. He says to me, happy to speak German, so I spoke to him German. He says, come Monday, I don't promise you. But they were making fun of the reason I was dressed European, and it looks like, what can European do, breaking buildings? I came Monday, prepared, and he gives me a cement block, big piece of cement with a metal, and he says to me, I want the metal out. And he gives me a sledgehammer. And I knocked it out. Then he pulls me aside, the owner, white man, says, I don't want you to work so hard. I get the niggers. I just want to show them they made fun of you. I want to show them that you can do it. 3 months later, I became a foreman in that place.
So you worked in construction?
In construction.
Did you rent an apartment? Did you
we rented a furnished apartment. And Paulette got a job in a Lazarus was the name. It's a store, a big department store. And I worked construction. I made good money.
So how long did you stay in Columbus?
I stayed 5 years in Columbus. And the construction, I made good money. I worked for a few months, and then I got hurt a little bit. So I went in the camera store to work. And I started right away selling, and they were amazed in the store. But
did you know anything about cameras?
No, nothing.
You learned on the job?
Yeah, I learned on the job, and I was right away. The first day I came in, I was selling cameras for him, and he was shocked, the guy. It's a Jewish man was the owner. I came on vacation, he says he doesn't give vacation money. Now he gives vacation money when you come back, and that made me mad. So I came to New York on vacation. I worked quite a few years there in that place. And I went to Willowbys, and I says to him, I would like to move to New York. I have a job in Columbus. I'm in a camera store. And he says to me, you can start Monday. So I drove back Saturday. I went Sunday, work there, and I got my money. And I had a reservation, and I came back to New York. And I started working Monday.
Did your wife remain in Columbus?
Yes. My wife had a cousin here. And I stayed in a cousin's place. And I prepared an apartment in the Bronx. And Paulette came with the children.
When did you start your family?
In 1957, rather, yeah. Was a daughter born. In 1959, my other daughter was born. And Paulette's parents left in Columbus, Ohio. Well, they had a very good job there.
Both parents?
Both parents, yeah. My father was a tailor, and my mother was managing an old age home in Columbus, a Jewish old age home, and they lived there. So they made money over money and no expenses. So they saved a lot of money.
So now you got the job in Willoughby's,
Yeah.
and how long did it take you before you brought your wife and children over?
About 3 months. The reason I was a trial basis, 3 months.
And
I took a chance.
Yes. But
And
they hired you.
They hired me right away, and it was very good. It worked. I got medical, month vacation, dental, eyeglasses, commission.
Where did you get your first apartment in New York?
In the Bronx. The reason my cousin lived there, we want to be close. And 2 years later, I moved to Queens. Paulette found a girlfriend in Queens,
Yes.
so she wanted she should come there. And we lived in Queens Boulevard. And then I decided to buy a house. Exactly almost 26 years ago, and I bought a house.
Is that the house
That's
now?
the house I'm living, and I'm very happy, and the best buy in my life.
Now tell us something about your daughters. What are they doing?
Yeah, one of the older daughter is an occupational therapist.
Yes.
She's married.
Yes.
She has no children. She lives in Manhattan. My other daughter married in Israel. She's an artist
Yes. What field?
because she's a
Design.
designer. She had a
What does
very
she
good
design?
clothing,
Mhm.
and she had a very good job. But she married an Israeli. She met an Israeli boy. She married, and she went to Israel.
And do you have grandchildren?
I have 2, and one of them is coming in 2 months, 3 months.
I see. And
So
what are they, boys or girls?
2 boys.
How
But-
old are they?
One of them gonna be 9, and the other one is 2. And the third one, we hope it's a girl. That's what we were told. So,
How often do you see your family in Israel?
well, since they moved to Israel 3 years, I went 3 times. My wife goes every year.
The daughter here, how long ago is the daughter in America since she got married? When did she get
About
married?
4 years ago.
Mhm.
They are working on it.
On the family.
Yeah.
When did you retire?
I retired in 1962, I think. It happened like this, that Willoughby's went bankrupt. And I was close to 62 years old, so I decided I retire. But my experience helps me in my business. People want me. They're running after me even right now, but I don't want to work as much.
So do you still work occasionally for Willoughby's?
I work till today. I still work. It's my 35th year, and I'm my own boss. I work when I want, and I go in, and I leave, and I vacation when I want. Well, I'm pretty well off at Willoughby's. I got a pension from Willoughby's. I got a pension from Social Security. And
Do you belong to a synagogue here?
yeah, I belong to Hillcrest Jewish Center, 73rd Avenue.
I see. What's the name of the rabbiner?
Rabbi Strasberg.
Do you belong to any Landsmannschaft or Jewish organizations or Holocaust organizations?
Paulette, I don't think so. I belong to the men's club in my synagogue.
I see. And if you would have something, if you have a chance to tell the world something about your experiences, what message would you really like to tell the non-Jewish world about what you lived through to make you a better person, or how do you feel about the world in general?
Well, I don't know, I was in concentration camp, and I was persecuted all my life since childhood. But it is a time that people should, I would forgive the people, and let's be like brothers. And why should the religion play, our behavior? We're better off if we respect each other. If you respect each other, you will have no problems in the world.
Thank you very much for your very interesting, very important testimony. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Wegh, would you kindly introduce the lady to your right?
This is my wife for 39 years, Paulette Wegh.
Would like to ask you, since your wife is a survivor as well, do you think, or do you find that being married to a survivor was very important to you, or that it made your bearing all the experiences easier, or you could have just as well married somebody who was not a survivor and been as comfortable?
I think it helped me a lot that she is a hidden child, a survivor. The reason I see it now in life, I was a very closed man. I never discussed, I'm a loner. She understood, and she helped me in my life. She take all my mishugas too. I'm not perfect, but she helped me a lot.
Did you find that your experiences from the camps and all the other experiences have left you with certain emotional difficulties or emotional scars over your lifetime as you look back?
Lately I stopped, but for years I was screaming nights. I was conscious that I was screaming, and Paulette used to wake me up. What happened, Martin? I says, nothing. But I was dreaming that the Germans coming after me, and really nightmares. But in the last few years it stopped. So, but she helped me a lot in my life.
Did you often discuss amongst each other or retell to each other some vignettes or some parts of what happened to you or your experiences?
Lately we're discussing. She's now researching her place where she was hidden. I never heard it in the last 30 or 35 years, but now the last few years we're going to go, I hope, next year to visit the place.
How about you, Mrs. Wegh? How were you affected with your husband's nightmares and difficulties and stories? How were you trying to help him?
When I met Martin, I think it's the first time he opened up. He was telling me what those terrible stories. It was very hard for me to cope with it. And all these years we didn't talk too much. We didn't expose our children too much to the stories. But I always used to hear when we get together with a friend some little anecdotes here and there. But I never heard the full story yet. And Martin is a very introvert. He doesn't talk too much about his feelings.
Since you have two wonderful children, did your relationship to your children, do you think because children are so precious that they are, in a sense, that you brought them up somewhat differently than parents who really don't know what could happen to children and what happened to Jewish children during the war?
My children are aware. I mean, we always kept a Jewish home and belonging to a temple and all that. My children are aware. They know the history. But I think we did a pretty good job. I think we raised two very nice, responsible girls. And we are very proud of them.
And they are aware that they are children of survivors?
Oh, sure, they know they are aware of children. They are aware of that. As a matter of fact, my grandson who lives in Israel he learned about the Holocaust, they call it the Machaneh. He wanted to know the story of his grandfather in Machaneh. And we're going to go to Israel. Hopefully we'll be able to talk.
And perhaps take your tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's the main reason.
Thank you again for your testimony. Thank you. Lovely meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this picture was taken in 1945 after the war in Czechoslovakia. That's the only picture I have.
Okay.
This picture is taken in Germany in the beginning in 46 in the Zionist organization house. From the left is my three friends and I'm on the kneeling on my knees. I had just a haircut taken. The reason my hair was falling out, and the doctor told me you must shave your head to stop the losing hair. That's what I did.
What was the town?
Poking. Robbie. That is my cousin in taken the picture in Czechoslovakia in Karlsbad. That is Malvin. This is my cousin. Jan is her husband, and the son is Robert, Robbie. I just remember them. That's they have another son who was born later, but he's not in the picture yet.
Were those the people who were so good to you?
Yeah, that's like my parents. She just died about a month ago in Israel. That is my friends that we left from Germany to Israel, taken in 1946 in Tel Aviv near the Sfat Hayam. 6 of my friends, and I am the second from the right.
What uniform are you wearing?
That's the Haganah. We have all of them belonged in the Haganah.
Okay, keep it right there. Keep it right there. Keep it right
Oh.
there. Yeah, 1 second. Good.
I made we've taken a picture. You showed me the picture before, and I made a mistake with the date. It's not 1946. It's in 1948. Well, in 1946, I was
And where was the picture taken?
in Tel Aviv near the Sfat Hayam. Saturday we got together. We got all of them furlough, so we were having a good time. This picture is taken in 1949 in Tel Aviv, Yom Ha'atzmaut, or Allenby Street. We are marching. Where I'm in the middle. This was. That was taken in Haifa in 1948, I think. We were marching, some kind of like Yom Ha'atzmaut, and I am the head of the Panzer half track, and I'm saluting.
And where are you? Right in the center?
In the center, yeah. The salute, you see my hand saluting. That was to the, what do you call this one, to the general. Where?
You were
We were
buried
going
here.
out, yes,
Yeah.
we were going
This picture was taken in Antwerp in 1954, 20th birthday. We were going out with Paulette.
So that's your girlfriend.
That's right.
Is she your
She was-
future wife?
She is now my future wife.
That is lovely.
This picture was taken in 1956 in February, in a city ceremony, civil ceremony in Antwerp, at City Hall. The mayor by himself congratulated to us by the marriage. This picture is taken in 1956 in April 29. That's our wedding, Jewish ceremony. It was a very nice day.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready.
This picture is taken at the Willoughby Camera Store, 110 West 32nd Street. I'm working there my 35th year. It's a long time. It's a very good place to work. So many people. Gee. This picture is taken on August 1989, or 91, I'm sorry, 1991. That is Hannah, my daughter, her husband David. I'm in the right side, the bullet is in the right side, left side.
Beautiful.
One second, one second, one second. 1, 2. Good.
This is the wedding for my youngest daughter. She got married in 1990 in August, and that is Tamara, and her husband is Ezra. He's an Israeli and they live now in Israel. I got 2 grandchildren, and the third one is on the way.
One second, try to hold still.
Same day she married my other daughter, the fixed.
She used to work in the government center. They used to stop and they thought she was an
Look at
artist.
this, gorgeous. Oh, she is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, like a Botticelli. That's gorgeous.
Yes. Okay, it's me with my grandson. He's probably 6 years old, 7 maybe. It's taken in front of their house in Rishon LeZion.
What's his name?
Noach. Okay, here I am with my second grandson. His name is Eli. It's taken about a year ago in Israel. I go every year to visit them, and now I'm going in January again for the third one.
It changes, it's not,
That's all right.
That's okay?
you think it's sharp enough?
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
This picture is taken this summer in August. They came to visit us. And that is Noach to the left and Eli is to the right.
And who are they?
And they are my 2 grandsons. And I miss them. That's the reason I'm going now to Israel.